Hi everyone, welcome to today's staff meeting. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'll be talking to you about how we as teachers can bring in mathematical concepts and skills and develop them across the curriculum. So we'll be taking a step back from maths is maths and maths is done at maths time to how maths can be incorporated into our other subjects such as English, religion, PAS, HPE to engage the students and it allows them to make the connection that maths is used in a broad range, and those skills they then can go on to develop and use in later life. So a bit of an overview is, firstly we'll be looking at the general capabilities in terms of what they say, what the Australian curriculum says about them. We'll be looking at what they are, how they are addressed, and we'll be looking at the key ideas of the numeracy capability. We will then go on to look at how they support the development of numeracy for the common good. From there, we'll be looking at mathematics and HAS, in specific geography. We will then go look at specific content descriptors in terms of mathematics and HAS, and how the geography descriptors will link to numeracy and how they link to mathematical descriptors. I'll be then giving you two key activity ideas that I did with my Year 2 class, which were quite effective in combining that geography and mathematical knowledge. So to start off, the general capabilities. So what are general capabilities? General capabilities work alongside learning areas to assist teachers in creating 21st century students. They encompass areas such as gaining knowledge, understanding, skills, behaviours that students can then take with them into the world and perform them with confidence and great disposition. There are 7 general capabilities, all of which help deepen a child's knowledge. So we'll now be looking at an example of how we can find the general capabilities. So as you can see, as an example, I have chosen a Year 3 content descriptor within the mathematical learning area. We can see the yellow box over there shows which area of maths we're looking at. So today we are looking at statistics and probability, and more specifically chance. This is our learning area. So conduct chance experiments, identify and describe possible outcomes and recognise. So in the pink box, we can see our general capabilities. These are our symbols, and we will be looking at the maths one. So if we click on the maths area, this comes up. It states that, again, it's a numeracy descriptor, and the particular elements of numeracy addressed in this content descriptor is interpreting statistical information, and in this lesson, it's interpret chance events. So the key ideas of the numeracy capability, there are 6. These are using measurement, estimating and calculating with whole numbers, recognising and using patterns and relationships, using fractions, decimals, percentages, ratios and rates, using spatial reasoning and interpreting statistics information. So more specifically, using measurement, this includes area, length, volume, capacity, time and mass. Students use metric meters or units to sequence data, read time, use a calculator and use a timetable. Within estimating and calculating with whole numbers, students learn to use numbers for diverse purposes. So some of these reasons include estimating and calculating, and looking at money, and then looking at how numbers are in a range of contexts. So the next one is recognising and using patterns and relationships. This is where students identify and discuss trends. They also figure out and mention different rules and relationships between patterns, and they learn to develop these further in which they can take out into the world and use knowledge about the way statistical information is presented. Students become familiar through interpreting data, displays and chance events. So using all these 6 key ideas of the numeracy capability within your lessons, you are meeting those general capability requirements that each teacher is required to meet. So now we'll be looking at general capabilities and how they support the development of numeracy for the common good. So there is great value in the general capabilities in developing numeracy for the common good. The basis of the common good is that there is an all-inclusive society. So where all the needs of every person within that society are being met, or there is someone there assisting them with their needs. The numeracy capability aims to give students a basis of mathematical knowledge, skills and strategies that they learn to associate with real-life situations and problems. So an example of this can be seen within the key idea of estimating and calculating with whole numbers. By showing students the worth of money and how to use it responsibly, this then gives them knowledge and skills that students can gain, and it then gives them a higher chance of meeting their own needs or using this knowledge to assist others in their needs. So therefore, this shows the common good in action. So there is a great connection between mathematics and HASS, and in specific today, geography. Both use a lot of the same skills and strategies, and this is why it makes it so relevant that we can put them together and create a lesson where some of the numeracy capabilities are being met. So some of the links between mathematics and HASS include numbers. Students use numbers in both. They use problem-solving skills. They start to use the language of maths in HASS and the language of HASS in maths. So this is in areas such as maps, diagrams, distance and area, and direction. Part of the presentation we're going to head into now is we're going to look at some content descriptors that I've met within my classroom. And the first one is a geography descriptor, and it's the way the world is represented in geographic divisions and the locations of Australia in relation to these divisions. So I teach in Year 2 class. The strand I took this from was knowledge and understanding, and the substrand obviously was geography. This strand had 3 elaborations, which were investigating the definition of a continent in the 7 continents and 6 continent models. Using geographic tools, for example a globe or a world map, or digital applications such as Google Earth to locate and name these continents, oceans, equator, north or south poles, tropics and hemispheres, and then labelling them on an outline map. Describing the location of continents and oceans relative to Australia, and using terms such as north, south, opposite, near and far. We can see how that descriptor relates to both numeracy and the mathematical content descriptors. So in terms of numeracy, it falls under spatial awareness, and this is through the students are making sense of the space around them. They're starting to be introduced to it, and students are also introduced to maps and directional language, so they're starting to use the terms north, south, east, west, and students are achieving a main part of spatial awareness in interpreting the maps and the diagrams. It links to the mathematical descriptor interpret simple maps of familiar locations, and identify the relative positions of key features. So the activity I did in terms of this content descriptor and linking the numeracy and maths and the geography all together was I used a Google Earth and Map iPad activity. So first I got the students to sit down on the map, and I introduced them to the Google Earth and Maps. I used the interactive whiteboard so the students could see me interacting with it, so then they could go out and follow. In pairs, I then got them to use either the iPads or the computers, and the students started to navigate and look up familiar places we've been learning about in previous lessons. So areas such as local rivers, oceans that we have been learning about, the equator, the North Pole, the South Pole, investigating the places they and their families visit for shopping, recreation, religious or ceremonial activities or other reasons. The second one was suggesting what their patterns of visits to places might have been 1 or 2 generations ago and comparing this to their current pattern. The third elaboration was to investigate how people's connections with places are affected by transport and information and telecommunication technologies. We will now look at how that content descriptor and its relationship between the numeracy capabilities and the relevant mathematical contents descriptors. So the link to the numeracy capability is through using measurements. So students measure in metric units, and in this case we used meters. This descriptor actually linked to 2 mathematical descriptors. The first one was compare and order several shapes and objects based on length, area, volume and capacity using appropriate uniform informal units. The second one was to interpret simple maps of familiar locations and identify the relative positions of key features. So the activity I chose to do with my class for this content descriptor was a bit of a field trip. So I took the children for a bit of a walk around the neighbourhood. At the start of the lesson, we sat down and we brainstormed places that they had seen near the school. So we spoke about the local library being down the road, the church and the local shop. Students then started to discuss ways of getting there, so the transport we would use to get to those places. Some of the ideas students came up with was walking, car, bike, and I began a discussion on why don't we use a plane to get to the local church, developing that knowledge. Students then led a student discussion on ways they could measure the distance from school to the chosen place. And as class whole, they decided string in metres long would be the correct measurement. So as a class, we set out, we started at the front school gates, and each child had 1 metre worth of string, and we measured that along, and we found that the library was 30 metres away, the shop was 100 metres away, and the church was 50 metres away. So this started sort of getting the children to understand the metric units of metres in an informal way, whilst also looking at sort of thinking transport, oh, okay, that wasn't far to walk, and that's why we don't use a plane, that's why we walk, or that's why we use a car. Now that I've shown you how mathematical concepts can be brought into a geography lesson, in the small groups that you are, I'm going to now ask you to participate in a small activity. I'm going to come around and each give you a subject area, and depending on your year level and your topic, I want you to talk about how you can bring numeracy or mathematical concepts into that area at the moment. So for science, how mathematical concepts can be brought into the science lesson. In conclusion, thank you for listening today. I would hope this gives you a bit of insight on how you, when planning, can incorporate some mathematical concepts, skills, strategies into your other learning areas, and how the capabilities are brought in and how you can meet those capabilities through different subjects. You don't have to meet the numeracy capabilities in maths, it can be brought into other subjects, and the Australian curriculum is really good at giving that insight through those symbols that I showed you before. You can click on those and that shows you exactly how you're meeting those capabilities. So the Australian